Hey Gen Chem Nation, if you're watching this video, then you have signed up for General Chemistry here at the University of Vermont, and I am your instructor, Eric Ruggles. So here, just a quick little video to help you get started with our course, basically by just exploring BlackBoard, showing the little ins and outs for access to all the information as we go throughout our semester. I'll have more of an introduction as far as my personal hobbies and things of that within the discussion board, which we'll talk about in a little bit as we go. That's kind of the next stage or the next step. But first, let's just look at getting started, and I'm going to switch screens now so we can look at BlackBoard. Welcome, CHEM32. We are going to be looking at getting started with BlackBoard and how that is tied into the course. So we're in this getting started portion, and we're watching this video, and we're going to go down through these little different pieces such as announcements, syllabus, assignments, mastering chemistry, course materials, etc., and then discussion boards, and then figure out what's next. If we are unfamiliar with BlackBoard, this is something that we utilize a lot at UVM. I particularly do with announcements and trying to keep everybody on pace with what's going on, due dates, things of that nature, as well as lots of supplemental information. So if we go to the top left, we have this top left navigation pane, and sometimes it's hidden. You might see this little arrow, and that would mean that it's actually hidden. We can pop that out and then take a look at it. And really what I want to focus in on is, for us, that top left pane is really important. Getting started, announcements, syllabus, all the way down to discussion boards, right? These are all the really pertinent things helping us get through the class, due dates, materials, and things of that nature. So we are right now at the very top with getting started. So let's go down to the first one, which is announcements. And so here would be our announcements page. There will be an announcement actually when you see this video if you're online following along on your own BlackBoard site. But this is the home page. So anytime you log into BlackBoard with this class, you'll be coming to the announcements page. I post all sorts of announcements to try to keep us square with what's going on. Those are homework assignments, quiz assignments, exams, material, supplemental information, right? Really trying to make sure that you have a wealth of options in order to follow to follow what's going on, as well as to know what's coming your way. So keep abreast of those announcements. Have your day planner. Make sure you're writing these notes into your day planner or whatever device you want to use, so that we're not missing out on dates, due dates, etc. So we'll find the announcements page will definitely blossom. You'll also get emails of these announcements. So again, don't just delete them. Please take a look at the announcements. So that takes us to then the number 1, syllabus. So here we have basically a number of documents within the syllabus folder. At the very top, we have the full syllabus, and as the name describes, that's the entire thing. There will be a separate video going through the full syllabus, which we're not going to go into in this particular one, but realize I've also broken down that full syllabus into individual sections. So we have Roman numeral 1, lecture information, Roman numeral 2, lab information, grades, lecture schedule, etc., etc. So just to help with searching for something specific. So there is a full syllabus at the top, We'll have another video going through the full syllabus and all the ins and outs there. But then if you're looking for information specifically for lecture or grades or schedule, what have you, realize that that's what I've done here, is blown those out into individual documents to help with, finding the information that you're looking for. So that is the syllabus. We go to assignments, and so we'll find that our assignments are in what we call modules. Module is the same thing as a chapter. So we have module 13, solutions, that's really chapter 13, or module 14, kinetics, that's really chapter 14. And so you're seeing more information here than you might see if you're following along on your own Blackboard. Some of this is hidden from students, and I open it up basically as we go. But if we look within a particular assignment, here looking at maybe module 13, what we'll find is that there's going to be, learning objectives as far as like what we're going to get out of this module. In this case, we're talking about solutions. So we're talking about units, and we're talking about different types of solubility as far as gas, liquid, or solid solubility, and how that has an effect on physical properties. So that's what we're going to get out of this chapter or module. And then we go down to the assignments. I love music, so there's always music incorporated in these video lectures. Here, starting with the talking heads, to talk about physical properties. I don't know, get a coffee ready, stretch, right? Get ready for, the lecture coming our way. And then we see here in blue, we have lecture 1, right? This is part 1, and it corresponds to chapter 13, some particular sections. And so there is a module lecture within an assignment. After the assignment, notice that we have in red practice homework. And so those are the questions from chapter 13 that are pertinent to this lecture that we did in terms of lecture 1. And then in purple, we have extra help. So if we are having some difficulty with our chapter 13 assignment as far as that practice homework is concerned, obviously we can go back to the video of the lecture and maybe look there. But we could also click one of these links. Let's say we're having a problem identifying, in this case, identification of forces. We can click number 52 in purple, and we get a video.
This is number 52 in chapter 11. It's looking at recognizing different forces, intermolecular forces of attraction.
And so, as you can see, I can draw out these little mini lectures to try to help students with understanding particular questions. So that's how these assignments are broken down. And I break down this assignment or this chapter into the different pieces or parts that it's comprised of. So we have then part 2, a video lecture with talking about here, in this case, thermodynamics, and as well as homework problems, assignments, helpful videos in red and purple respectively. If we want to keep going, we maybe have a break with some Dinosaur Jr., some music to get us more into a relaxed state and kind of reboot to get into the next lecture video. And so we see this kind of repeat, right, where we have now homework associated with that lecture video, and then purple, extra help if we need that for, just specific problems. And that makes up an entire assignment. And then at the very bottom, once we're done at the assignment or at the near completion, at the very bottom in red, we have some much tougher problems. These are cumulative problems, and something to test your mettle with. They bring more than one concept together within the chapter, And that's really kind of the goal that we're looking for in our students, is start to make those connections, in more than one concept, right? Bring two concepts together. In the bottom right-hand corner, you'll also find the lecture notes. This is basically the transcript of all the video lectures that we have in the assignment. So not only can we view, obviously, the lectures in video format with sound and all that, but just the actual transcript, not the verbal transcript, but just what was actually written on the screen as far as going through problem solving. Some students prefer those types of notes, so we have access to those. And so that is, this idea of an assignment. Now realize that the assignment here might be broken down over the span of quite a few days. So it's not like we're looking at trying to do this all in one day or anything of that nature. This would be a full chapter assignment, which might be over the span of, a week, 10 days, 2 weeks, depending on, how big the chapter actually is. Assignments will definitely be told to us through our announcements. So don't worry about it. I will be making sure that we're all on pace as far as making announcements, and I'll be very specific within the assignment criterion as far as what you need to be doing within that assignment. So let's go to number 3, which is mastering chemistry. Mastering Chemistry is our online platform for our textbook. Your page here is definitely not going to look like mine as we see it here. If you have already, purchased Mastering Chemistry, either because you've already taken 31, you might find that your subscription is still good, or you might find that you actually have to purchase a Mastering Chemistry license, or, really, account, what have you. But so this is where we'll find that within the Mastering Chemistry link in Blackboard. Don't go to the Pearson website. Go through Blackboard. And so what we should eventually find is either the ability to create an account, which then you should follow as far as creating your account. There is no class code. Since this is linked with Blackboard, the class code is already synced. It would be an access code that you purchased either through the UVM bookstore package or through the Pearson website. But again, you can purchase that through just Blackboard. Set up an account, make sure your Mastering Chemistry account is set up, and then you should have at the very bottom here this idea of My Lab and Mastering Chemistry Home. You should also see possibly Pearson eText if you bought the eText, and at the very top also this Mastering Assignments idea. If we go to just the My Lab and Mastering Chemistry course home, it's going to open up to a page that looks kind of like Blackboard. We see this manual off to the left as far as our navigation pane. I'm using an iPad right now, so your interface might look a little bit differently with this link that they have here, opening Mastering. That's definitely an iPad issue. But what I want to direct us to is assignments. And when the assignment page opens, we see a lot of information here. And starting at the far left, right, basically we have a couple of ideas: introduction to this program, chemistry primer, and then what you'll find is that from chapter 11, chapter 13, all the way down to chapter 20, we have these end of chapter questions as well as these self-assessments. Please realize that Mastering Chemistry and the textbook are the same thing. the questions that you find in Mastering Chemistry, you can also find in the textbook. The numbering is the same. Now you might find the questions differ a little bit in terms of format. Sometimes Mastering Chemistry tends to be multiple choice, while the textbook, there actually pretty much isn't much multiple choice. Also, you might find Mastering Chemistry, the numbers are just slightly different in terms of the question, or maybe the molecule is slightly different in terms of the question, but the concept or the idea is exactly the same. So we have this online, basically mirror image of the textbook, giving you, the student, the ability to decide what you want to use. If you like the textbook, you like to look in the textbook for those questions, you can do your homework there. If you want to just use Mastering Chemistry as your homework practice source, well, you get the same thing there with using the exact same questions that we assign from lecture to lecture. So it's really a choice of yours. Notice if we go over to due date, due times, and things of that nature, all of these are homework assignments that are open till after the end of the semester. So I'm just opening up basically like the textbook. Here are all the end of chapter questions in the textbook on Mastering Chemistry. You have the ability to utilize them, practice them as much as you want, just like with the actual normal textbook. Now realize that we will also have quizzes on Mastering Chemistry. So that's why it is also important to at least get used to the Mastering Chemistry website to make sure that you're entering the answers in the correct format. For instance, significant figures is very important in answering questions. So we want to make sure that we're have an understanding of the program before we get into, as we see, quizzes as we go down. All you guys and gals can see right now is just the practice homework. So that is Pearson. You can just click in through Mastering Assignments or click in through the My Lab like I did. But for right now, getting into Blackboard and setting up that Mastering Chemistry account is very important. So that's number 3. Takes us to number 4, which is course materials. And so here is where we have a lot of supplemental information, a lot of folders that are available to us. Live lecture notes, every chapter, every module. I have not only those videos, but I also have the PDF transcripts, right? So here we see all of the modules and chapters throughout the semester. Obviously, some are hidden from you. Again, I like to go, in a linear fashion, just offering where we're up at at that moment. So Module 11A would be a review for us. We talked about that in 31 with forces of attraction. So that would be a good review. Getting into 32 is, well, okay, do I remember what forces of attraction were, or do I need some help there? So that's the live lecture notes. Class question and answer is the next folder. This one's empty. And so every class, remember, is a question and answer period. We will have that question and answer period videoed, so students can access that video class excuse me, on Teams. But I will also then post, just like with the live lecture notes, that PDF transcript of the class that was held. And so that's where you'll find the class Q&A. Solutions manual, which is the solution manual. It is broken down to chapter. These are just PDF documents going from 13 to the end. So it's a good tool. I would not become reliant on the solution manual, but obviously we have to check if we got our question answered correctly or not. The question after that would be, if it's incorrect, what happened, right? Did we really mess up? Were we just close and we did a miscalc on the calculator, because that happens, or did we really get the concept, really didn't get the concept correct? And that'll tell us to then the next help options we need to go through, whether going to office hours, asking those questions in class, if we're having some difficulty in that process. The videos in purple that we talked about within assignments can all be found under homework problem videos. So here you have a number of chapters, and each chapter is where all of these videos are basically housed. I put hyperlinks within the announcements, within the assignments. So usually you can just use those assignments or announcements to get you to these types of pages, but if we're looking for them, they are in course materials. And again, these are just video, kind of mini lectures going through a specific example problem. Like at the top, number 40.
This is number 40 within chapter 12.
Just working through a problem.
Talks about energetics. We have water to absorb 100 kilojoules of heat.
So that's where we can find those specific files, as well as the exact question that's involved, as far as the language of the question for each one of those particular problem videos. Not only do we have them in normal format, and that's what I tend to link up with, we also have closed caption forms as well. So if you think my voice is too hypnotic, then maybe check out the closed captioning and follow the text. Also, there are blank exams and practice exam keys from past years, 2018 and 2019. Here are basically folders where I just post from prior years actual exams. Now, our exams are going to be different in terms of format. Here, this will be something that will be an in-person exam where we'll be writing these things down. And so our exams are going to be on BlackBoard. And so we definitely have a different format as far as that is concerned. However, these practice exams, they still teach the same or test the same concepts, same processes. So these are still really good practice. So we have this extra practice resource, not only with the practice homework, obviously, but now some real life exams from prior years to see where we're at, to get a good critical aspect of are we okay, where are our rough spots, where are we doing great at. Also, we have SI problem sets. This is something we've done in person. I'm not sure if it's happening because of the remote nature of the class. So what I've done is taking last year's SI sessions and posted them here as well. This will be like the practice exams. It's just extra resource, extra questions, more practice to make sure that we're at the top of our game. Not only do we have blank versions, but then we also have the key set up as well. And then at the very bottom, we have some other documents, steps to success. document to just kind of help with maybe some practice techniques. Practice makes perfect is really kind of the end all be all there. A daily ritual, maybe an hour a day is really a good place to begin. And then other documents that might help, right? Obviously, periodic table, nomenclature, force of attraction. These are kind of summary documents to help us in our studies. So that takes us to the last one, which is the discussion boards. And here, what I've done is posted a number of forums, starting with fall introductions, pre-fall questions, good news, bad news, all the way down through some of these modules or chapters that we get into. It's just a place to, another place to ask questions. The nice thing about the forum is that, once we create a dialogue with question and answer, that might help other students with similar questions. You can check these things out. The beginning is really just fall introductions. I'm put out a little thread here talking a little bit about myself in this video. I'm not saying that you have to do a video, but maybe you can write a little comment about, where you're coming from, in terms of this class, what are your, expectations, what's your major, what's your goals, what makes you happy, things of that nature, which are always good to hear. Even though we're in a remote situation with this class, it's also nice still to make connections, right? Connections within your major, connections within your interests, etc. So with that discussion board, there's fall introductions, pre-fall questions, good news, things that you might appreciate throughout the semester, bad news, things that you don't like, which is cool. Critique is really good. Critique is needed. But if you give a critique and you don't like something, well, maybe offer an alternative, right? And that's how classes can develop. I always look for insight into how to make classes better. Lab ideas, and then if we have questions by chapter, we have these different places to go to with those questions. So I'll be kind of omnipresent over these discussion boards, answering any questions, just another venue to get those questions answered, but also might help other students, meaning that if they have similar questions, they might find that their question is already answered in the pre-fall questionnaire or what have you. So that is getting started. We've walked through all of these pieces, the announcements, syllabus, assignments, mastering chemistry, course materials, all the pieces to course materials, SI problem sets, right, other documents. And so what's next? So maybe do a video intro or do maybe a picture in the discussion board of maybe one of your favorite pets or favorite places to be at in the discussion board. I leave that up to you. No pressure. And then the next thing to do would be to move on to ebb and flow. And ebb and flow is right below, and so that is the topic of the next lecture. That's all I have for right now. Again, getting started, check out all the different pieces of that left navigation page with syllabus, course materials, and start to interact with the discussion board as far as maybe some introductions or questions, what have you. I will be talking to you soon.